She walked into the dealership, just wanted to get motivated, inspiration, seeing her dream car. Nothing more. She wasn't loud. She wasn't causing a scene. She just walked in with quiet confidence. I remember the first time I saw the car. It was shiny, all sleek and beautiful, just like the ones I'd seen on TV or in magazines. My mom always told me that if I worked hard enough, I could have anything I wanted. And that day, I thought maybe, just maybe, I could look at one up close. Maybe even sit inside it and feel like a princess. I was so excited as I stepped into the big, fancy car dealership. The floor was shiny and clean, and the cars all looked like they were made for royalty. I felt so small compared to the big glass windows and polished cars. I walked over to the one I liked best, my fingers brushing the smooth surface of the car. It smelled new, and I could almost imagine myself driving it. But then, a man in a suit came up to me. His smile didn't look friendly. He didn't say hello. Instead, he just looked at me, then glanced at what I was wearing, like he was trying to figure me out. "Can I help you, young lady?" he asked, but his tone was cold, like he didn't think I belonged there. "Hey dear, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. If you're enjoying the video, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and reach even more awesome people like you." All right, let's see what happened next. Before I could answer, 2 security guards came over and started to walk with me to the door. "You can't be here. You don't look like you belong," one of them said. I didn't understand. Why was I being kicked out? I hadn't done anything wrong. I just wanted to look at the car. But nobody seemed to care. I don't remember much of what happened after they kicked me out. I just walked away, my head down, feeling like I had done something bad. The car dealership felt so big and cold, and I felt so small, so invisible. Nobody looked at me like I mattered. I wanted to run home, but I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to ask what happened, because I didn't know how to explain it. Why didn't they want me there? Was it because I wasn't wearing fancy clothes? Was it because I was just a little girl, and they thought I couldn't afford what they were selling? I didn't know. All I knew was that it didn't feel fair. I kept thinking about the car, how it looked so perfect, and how I thought I might get to sit in it. Instead, I felt like I didn't even deserve to be there. I tried to hold back my tears, but it was hard. I felt so embarrassed, so alone. That night, when I got home, I didn't tell anyone what had happened at the dealership. I just went straight to my room and lay down on my bed, staring up at the ceiling. But my mom always knew when something was wrong. She came into my room, sat on the bed beside me, and asked, "What happened, baby?" I hesitated for a moment. I didn't want to say anything, but she gently lifted my chin, and I couldn't keep it inside anymore. "I went to the car dealership," I whispered. "I just wanted to look at a car, but they kicked me out. They said I didn't look like I could afford anything." My mom's face changed. She didn't get mad at me. Instead, she hugged me tight. "Nobody has the right to treat you that way, sweetheart. Nobody." I didn't understand what she meant at first. My mom always made me feel like everything was going to be okay, but I didn't know how she would make things right this time. The next day, when I woke up, my mom was on the phone. She seemed busy, talking in a way that was different from her usual voice. I didn't know what she was saying, but I knew it was important. It wasn't long before I got a call from the same dealership. A woman named Sarah asked me to come back in. Come back in? Why would I go back there after what happened? I thought. But my mom, her face serious and determined, told me, "We're going to fix this, baby. Just trust me." So I agreed. I didn't know what my mom was going to do, but I followed her to the dealership. When we got there, I was surprised to see all the people who had looked at me so strangely the day before. They didn't look as sure of themselves now. They looked nervous. The same lady, Sarah, came up to us, but this time she wasn't the one in control. My mom walked with her like she owned the place. After a few moments of walking through the showroom, I began to feel a strange mix of confusion and curiosity. My mom seemed different today, stronger, more important. I wasn't sure what was happening, but something was definitely changing. Sarah led us into a private room, and I sat down, watching everything unfold in front of me. I didn't know what my mom was about to say, but I could tell this was bigger than I had imagined. When Sarah looked at my mom, she said, "I know we made a mistake yesterday. We want to apologize and make things right." Before I could ask what she meant, the door opened, and another woman stepped inside. She was tall, wearing a sharp suit, and her presence filled the room. The staff stood up at attention as if they were waiting for orders. I looked at my mom, then back at the woman. "Who is she?" I whispered. "My daughter was treated unfairly here yesterday," my mom said, looking straight at the staff, her voice steady. "I'm a majority shareholder of this dealership, and I think it's time for a little change around here." The room was silent. You could almost hear people breathing. The same people who looked down on me yesterday were now looking at my mom like they'd seen a ghost. But she wasn't a ghost. She was real. Real and powerful. I just sat there quietly, watching them squirm in their fancy suits. One of the managers, the same one who had waved over the security guards to kick me out, stepped forward. "Ma'am, I didn't know she was your daughter," he stammered. My mom's face didn't change. You shouldn't have to know who someone's mother is to treat them with dignity. What if she was just another child? What if she was someone else's daughter? Would that make it okay to treat her like trash? He didn't answer. He couldn't. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I looked at him and didn't feel small anymore. I felt seen, not just as a little girl, but as a person. Another staff member tried to step in. "We sincerely apologize. We can offer a free car detail or a..." My mom raised her hand, and the room went still again. "I don't want your freebies. I want accountability. I want everyone in this building to be retrained from the top down. I want a new hiring policy in place that includes cultural sensitivity. And I want a leadership overhaul, effective immediately." I looked up at her wide-eyed. My mom didn't yell. She didn't scream, but her words cut through the room like a blade made of truth. That day, the same building that felt cold and too big yesterday felt different, because now they knew who I was. And more importantly, they knew who she was. And they weren't going to forget it. After we left the dealership, I sat in the back seat of my mom's car, staring out the window. The silence between us wasn't heavy. It was thoughtful, full of everything I didn't yet know how to ask. My hands were folded in my lap, and for the first time, I wasn't sure what to feel. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was changed. "Mom," I finally said. She glanced at me in the rearview mirror, her eyes warm but serious. "Yes, baby. How come you didn't tell me you own the dealership?" She smiled gently. "Because you didn't need to know that to know your worth. I didn't want you to ever think respect had to be earned by power. It should be given because you're human." I didn't say anything right away. Her words sank deep, settling into the place where my heart had been hurting the day before. I realized something then. My mom wasn't just rich. She was wise, and she had let the world show its colors without stepping in right away, because sometimes the truth has to speak for itself. "But why do they treat me like that?" I asked. "Just 'cause I'm little? Or 'cause I'm black?" She took a slow breath. "Some people carry old ideas. They look at your skin and forget your soul. They look at your clothes and forget your dreams. But what matters most is that you don't forget who you are." That made my throat tight. I looked down at my shoes. I had felt so small yesterday. Today, I felt taller somehow. Not because the world had changed, but because I had started to understand my place in it. That night, I wrote in my journal. They saw a little black girl, but now they know my mother. One day, they'll know me too. A week passed after what happened at the dealership. The story had spread faster than we expected. My mom tried to keep it quiet, but someone leaked a photo of her walking out of the dealership holding my hand, and soon reporters were calling her office nonstop. "Billionaire mom defends daughter after racial discrimination" was everywhere. Some people praised her. Others criticized her for making it public. But at school, that's where the real twist happened. At first, my classmates treated me like a hero. Kids who never talked to me suddenly wanted to sit by me. Even teachers were acting different, calling on me more, smiling extra wide. But then, things changed. It started small. A few girls from another class whispered when I walked past. Then someone snickered when I opened my lunchbox. I heard one of them say, "Better mom bought that sandwich too." I didn't understand at first. Why were they mad at me? Then I found the letter. It was stuffed into my locker, folded in half, written in blue pen. The words were shaky but clear. "Just because your mom's rich doesn't mean you belong here. You made everything about race. You should have stayed quiet." My hand shook as I read it. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I wanted to run, but I didn't. I just stood there, staring at the note like it was something poisonous. At home that night, I gave the letter to my mom without saying a word. She read it slowly, her face unreadable. "This," she said, placing the letter on the table, "is the cost of change. Sometimes when you stand up tall, people who live low get uncomfortable." I didn't fully understand what that meant then, but I knew one thing for sure. The fight wasn't over. And maybe now it was mine too. I didn't talk much at school for the next few days. The hallway felt different, like it had eyes and ears that watched everything I did. Whispers followed me like shadows, and when I raised my hand in class, some kids rolled their eyes. The note in my locker had done more than sting. It had planted a seed of doubt inside me. Maybe I didn't make it all worse. Maybe I should have just kept quiet. But then something strange happened. During lunch, a girl I'd never spoken to before sat next to me. Her name was Maya. Her hair was braided in long twists, and she wore big glasses that slid down her nose every time she laughed. "I saw what they did to you," she said, her voice soft but steady. That wasn't right. I blinked. "You mean the letter?" She nodded. "It happened to my cousin last year, too. She wore a head wrap to school, and someone put a note in her locker saying she looked like she just got out of jail. Hey, friend, I'd love you to take a deep breath. What do you think about the story? Drop it in the comment. If this video is bringing you value, or even just a smile tapping the like button, and subscribing means the world. It might be a small gesture that helps us reach more hearts like yours. All right, let's see what happened next. I stared at her, unsure of what to say. I wasn't used to people getting it. Not really. "You're not alone," Maya said, smiling gently. "And maybe it's time we stop letting them think we are." That night, I stayed up late in bed with my notebook open and the soft glow of my lamp beside me. My fingers trembled as I wrote the first sentence. "My name is Zora, and I was judged before I ever said a word." I didn't know where the story would go yet. I just knew it was mine to tell. Not my mom's. Not the dealerships. Not the school's. Mine. And something inside me whispered, "It's time to speak." A week later, the principal announced a school-wide assembly. Usually, assemblies meant boring talks about homework or reminders not to run in the halls. But this one was different. It was about kindness and culture, and apparently, some parents had requested it strongly. I had a feeling I knew one of them. That morning, my stomach flipped as I sat in the auditorium. Rows and rows of students filed in, teachers whispering to each other, some holding clipboards. Maya sat beside me, giving my hand a squeeze. "They're not ready for this," she whispered. I smiled, nervous but grateful she was there. Then the principal stepped up to the podium. "Today, we have something special," she said. "One of our own students has something to share." Wait, what? My heart dropped when I saw my mom standing at the back of the room, giving me a small nod. Next to her stood Ms. Hughes, my homeroom teacher, holding a printed copy of the piece I had written in my notebook. Zora. That was me. Before I knew it, my name was called. My legs shook as I walked up, the paper trembling in my hand. The microphone felt like a mountain. But then I looked out. I saw Maya. I saw a few teachers leaning forward, really listening. I saw some kids who'd whispered about me now, looking curious. And I began to read. My name is Zora, and I was judged before I ever said a word. I was told I didn't belong before I even stepped through the door. My voice was small at first, but it didn't stay that way. With every word, it got stronger, like my truth was waking up inside me. When I finished, the room was quiet. Not awkward quiet, powerful quiet. Then someone clapped, and another, and then the whole room. That day, I didn't just share my story. I owned it. The next morning at school felt like I had just won an award, even though there was no trophy and no one gave me flowers, which I felt was a missed opportunity. Still, people were smiling at me in the hallway like I'd just done something brave. A few kids even waved awkwardly, like I was some kind of celebrity they were afraid to talk to. Then came Bradley. Now, let me explain. Bradley was the kind of kid who always smelled like crayons and peanut butter, and he had this weird habit of chewing on his hoodie strings. He used to call me Zora the Explorer, like it was the world's funniest joke. It wasn't. Anyway, Bradley walked up to me after math, holding something behind his back. I wrote you a letter," he said. My eyes narrowed. "If this is another weird poem that rhymes with Zora, I swear." No, it's not. Look, he pulled out a big chocolate chip cookie in a napkin. The napkin had something scribbled on it in blue pen. Sorry for being kinda trash. You're cool. Also, your speech was like, wow. Please don't tell your mom to buy the school and fire me. I blinked. You think my mom is gonna buy the school now? I don't know, he squeaked. She bought a car dealership. I burst out laughing. For the first time in a while, it felt good to really laugh. Loud, deep belly laughter. The kind that made Maya snort behind me. Bradley, I said, your apology cookie has been accepted. He grinned and ran off like he'd just escaped a dragon. It hit me then. Some kids were still weird, but some were trying. And sometimes the best kind of change starts with a cookie and a badly spelled napkin. Yeah, things were definitely getting interesting. After the whole cookie and napkin apology situation, things at school started to feel weirdly exciting. People were treating me differently. Not like I was better than anyone, but like I was somebody. I even got invited to sit at the cool table at lunch, which was basically the United Nations of snacks. I saw tacos, pizza rolls, and a Capri Sun that looked suspiciously smuggled from home. But just when I thought the week couldn't get more bizarre, it did. It started during music class. We were supposed to be practicing the recorder, which sounded like a bunch of angry birds fighting in a wind tunnel. But our teacher, Ms. Linton, had a special surprise. I thought it might be nice, she said, clapping her hands together, to explore some inspiring music today. And I've chosen Beyoncé. The class gasped like she had summoned her in person. Please tell me Beyoncé is actually walking in, Maya whispered. She's not, I whispered back. But at this point, I wouldn't be shocked. Ms. Linton played Brown Skin Girl, and something in my chest bubbled up. I wasn't sure if I was about to cry or just break into a full-on dance routine. Turns out, it was both. Me, Maya, and two other girls started dancing by instinct. Like full Beyoncé choreography. No one stopped us. In fact, everyone joined in. And then someone, no one knows who to this day, accidentally backed into the fire alarm. The alarm blared, strobe lights flashed, and half the class screamed like we were under alien attack. One kid flung a juice box into the air. I swear I saw someone slide across the linoleum floor like a cartoon. We all evacuated, laughing, coughing on our giggles, and fanning our ears. Outside, the principal marched over with her walkie-talkie. Who pulled the alarm? No one spoke. Then Maya stepped forward. We blame Beyoncé. That did it. I nearly fell over laughing. And as we stood out in the cold with juice box confetti and fire trucks in the background, I realized something. Being seen and being free are two different things. But I was finally starting to have both. After the Beyoncé/fire alarm incident, which was now referred to in hushed tones as the day the music set us free, school gossip reached a whole new level. Everyone was either trying to be my friend or ask me if I had Beyoncé's number. I started saying things like, she texts me when she's in town just for laughs. But underneath all the attention, something new was bubbling. Something unexpected. It started during science class. We were doing a group project about volcanoes, gluing red tissue paper to a soda bottle while pretending it was educational. Maya was digging through a box of supplies when she suddenly stopped and stared. Zora, she whispered. You're not going to believe this. She held up a flyer that must have fallen out of the box. It was from Fundraising Gala. Nothing special, except in the corner, printed in fancy gold letters, was a list of major donors. And right there, plain as daylight, donated by Mr. Howard Easton, Easton Automotive Group. My eyes widened. Wait, Easton Automotive? Like the dealership where everything happened. Maya's voice dropped. Girl, that's Mr. Griffin's dad. Mr. Griffin, our class's substitute teacher with a stiff bow tie and secret stash of peppermint candies. The one who'd taken over Ms. Hughes's class temporarily. The one who had quietly avoided eye contact with me ever since the dealership incident. He knew. Maya said, jaw dropped. He knew who your mom was the whole time. Just then, as if summoned by awkward tension, Mr. Griffin walked in holding a stack of worksheets. Maya didn't even try to hide her stare. So, Mr. Griffin, she said sweetly, big fans of car dealerships in your family? He froze. The room fell silent. I prefer bikes, he muttered, and then immediately dropped his coffee. It splashed everywhere. Zora tried not to laugh. She really did. But come on. Even volcanoes couldn't hold in that kind of eruption. Mr. Griffin didn't say much after the coffee incident. He just stood there, drenched in vanilla hazelnut, his bow tie slightly crooked, blinking like someone had unplugged his brain. The class stared at him like he might explode. No one moved. Then finally, he let out a deep sigh and said the words we never thought we'd hear. Okay, fine. You all want to know the truth. We nodded in slow motion, like we were in a courtroom drama. Yes, my father owns Easton Automotive. Yes, that's the dealership. And yes, he paused dramatically. He's the one who had Zora escorted out. A few gasps echoed across the room. One kid even dropped a pencil like it was too heavy with drama. I felt my heart speed up. Mr. Griffin had seen what happened, maybe even knew before I did. I raised my hand, slow and steady. Why didn't you say anything? I asked. My voice was calm, but inside, I was simmering like one of those vinegar and baking soda volcanoes. He looked down at his coffee-soaked pants and then back up at me. Because I was embarrassed, he admitted, and ashamed. My dad's never exactly understood people who don't look like him. It's wrong. I know it's wrong. I've always tried to stay away from that part of the business. The class went quiet again. But when my father told me what happened, he continued, I didn't say anything because I didn't want his mess to follow me into this school. Well, it did, Maya said, arms folded like a tiny judge. Mr. Griffin nodded slowly. You're right. Then he looked directly at me. Zora, I'm sorry. You deserve better. And if it makes a difference, I've sent him a letter. Told him I want nothing to do with the dealership anymore. Told him what he did was disgusting. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to be mad forever. But another part of me saw something in his eyes, something honest. Like maybe he just yanked off a mask he'd been wearing for years. So I said the only thing that felt right. Cool, but you still owe me an A on that volcano project. Mr. Griffin blinked and then cracked the smallest, most awkward smile. You got it. The day after Mr. Griffin's shocking confession, word spread faster than a dropped lunch tray in the cafeteria. Everyone knew what had gone down, Zora, the car dealership drama, and now Mr. Griffin's secret family connection. Even the janitor paused when he saw me, gave me a respectful nod, and said, You shook up the whole adult faculty, little lady. By lunch, Maya was calling it Zora Day. Mark my words, she said between bites of fruit snacks. Next year, this will be a national holiday. But things got even wilder when the school announced, over the intercom, a mandatory assembly for all students and faculty. In the auditorium, the principal stood at the podium like she was about to deliver a State of the Union address. Her usual bun looked extra tight, like even her hair was tense. We believe in equality, she began, and we also believe in facing difficult truths. That's when she did something we weren't ready for. She introduced Mrs. Davina Lovejoy, my mom. Maya nearly choked on her juice box. Why is your mom in heels that high at a school function? I whispered, because she's scary and fabulous. My mom took the mic like she was running for president. I'm not here as a billionaire, she said, her voice calm but powerful. I'm here as a mother whose daughter was treated unfairly because of how she looked. And I want you all to know, my daughter is not afraid of anyone in a suit, tie, or title, because she knows her worth. The crowd went silent. Then the clapping started, and kept going. Even Mr. Griffin stood and clapped. Zora, the little girl with the jelly shoes and bubblegum backpack, had officially turned her pain into power and somehow dragged her whole school along for the ride. After the mic drop moment from Mom, a.k.a. Davina Lovejoy, a.k.a. Billionaire in Heels, the school felt different. People started saying hi to me in the halls. Kids who never spoke to me suddenly wanted to know my favorite color. Even the cafeteria lady added an extra cookie to my tray with a wink and a keep doing what you're doing, baby. But the real surprise came the next morning. We were all still sleepy-eyed in homeroom when the intercom crackled to life. This is Principal Martin, the familiar voice echoed. All students and staff, please report to the auditorium immediately. We have an announcement. The auditorium was packed. Everyone buzzed with theories. Some thought they want to play Beyoncé's song again. Others said the school was turning into a TikTok studio. Principal Martin stepped up, a little flushed but with a twinkle in her eye. Effective immediately, she said, holding up a plaque. Our school is undergoing a change. We all leaned forward. We are officially renaming the Student Leadership Center after one of our most courageous students. Introducing the Zora Lovejoy Student Empowerment Hall. My jaw nearly hit the floor. Maya screamed. Someone in the back yelled, "Yo, she's famous." Principal Martin wasn't done. There will also be a school-wide diversity and equity training program, led by students for students. And the first meeting starts today, hosted by none other than Zora herself. Wait, what? My eyes bugged. Excuse me? Nobody told me I was hosting anything. But before I could object, the crowd erupted in cheers and claps, and even a few standing ovations. Maya turned to me, grinning. "Well, Madam President of Empowerment, guess you better start writing your speech." I didn't know what I'd say yet, but I knew one thing for sure. Being little didn't mean staying small. And apparently, it now meant I had my own hallway. By lunchtime, everyone and their cousin knew about the new Zora Lovejoy Student Empowerment Hall. My face was already on 3 flyers, and someone even made a sticker that said, "What would Zora do?" Maya stuck it to her water bottle like I was Oprah or something. But the real test came that afternoon, my very first student-led empowerment meeting. I showed up with glitter pens, extra cookies, and a list of talking points about fairness, inclusion, and respect. I was ready, or so I thought. What I wasn't ready for was chaos. Half the school showed up. Some kids thought there would be pizza. One boy wore a cape and asked if this was the Avengers Recruitment Center. A group of 3rd graders brought a hamster named Justice and asked if it could be the mascot. It got worse. When I stood up to speak, a girl in the front row raised her hand and said, "My brother says billionaires are evil and you're probably part of the secret robot society." What? I tried to respond calmly. "Actually, my mom uses her money to help people." Then a boy in a tinfoil hat stood on a chair and shouted, "Wake up, Zora! The system is lying to you." Maya looked at me like, "Girl, your audience has entered another dimension." And just when I thought I might cry or yell or run away, something amazing happened. A quiet kid in the back, Ari, I think his name was, stood up holding a handmade sign that read, "Listen to little voices." Everyone froze. Ari looked nervous, but his voice was clear. "Zora is trying to make things better. Maybe instead of yelling, we should let her talk." I blinked, then smiled. "Thank you, Ari. That was powerful." And just like that, the room softened. The hamster squeaked. Someone passed out mini cupcakes. The Avengers kid saluted me. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, and I was still standing, even if a little glitter got in my eye. Later that night, after the cupcake chaos and glitter storm of my first official leadership meeting, I flopped onto my bed like a dramatic soap opera actress. Maya texted me, "You need a vacation already, and it's only day 1 LOL." She wasn't wrong. My mom knocked gently on the door and peeked in with that, "I'm proud of you, but also you're about to ask me for something look." "I brought hot cocoa," she said, handing me a mug. "With those tiny marshmallows you like. You're trying to soften me up?" I squinted. She grinned. "Is it working?" It was. We sat on the bed together, just sipping in silence. That's when I asked something that had been bugging me since everything at school started changing. "Mom, were you ever like me? I mean, before the billionaire stuff." She paused. Her face got serious. Not the scary boardroom serious, but the quiet, real kind. "You want to see something?" she asked. I nodded. She led me to her walk-in closet, past the rows of designer heels and coats that looked like they belonged in a museum. She reached behind a row of jackets and pulled out a dusty file box. Inside were photos, old report cards, even a diary. I stared at one photo, a little girl in beat-up sneakers and a homemade dress. Her eyes looked like mine. "That's me at 10, she said. "I got kicked out of a bookstore for reading too long. They said I was loitering." My heart dropped. She flipped to a diary page. In neat handwriting, it said, "One day I'll own buildings like this. One day they won't ask me to leave." She looked at me. "I didn't get here by accident, Zora. I got here because people underestimated me, just like they did you." I didn't say anything. I just hugged her tight. Turns out, my superhero mom wasn't born in heels and pearls. She started out like me, a little girl with big eyes, wild dreams, and people who told her no. Now she owned their buildings. And maybe one day, I would too. I couldn't stop thinking about that photo of Mom as a little girl. The crooked part in her hair, the scuffed shoes, the diary entry that felt like a secret handshake from the past. The next morning, I got to school with one goal: start something big. I ran straight to the art teacher, Ms. Jordan, who was busy trying to glue pom-poms to a papier-mâché volcano. She looked at me like I was interrupting brain surgery. "Ms. Jordan," I said, breathing fast, "I need paint. And markers. And maybe a ladder." "A ladder," she blinked. "I have an idea," I said. "A really good one." I pitched it in the lunchroom later with Maya and a few other kids. The idea? A giant mural, one whole wall, where students could share real stories. Moments they felt overlooked. Times they were told no. Times they surprised everyone. We'd call it the story wall. At first, everyone stared like I had just suggested we build a roller coaster in the gym. Then a girl from the robotics team whispered, I'd write about the time a teacher assumed I couldn't speak English, even though I was born here. A boy in a wheelchair raised his hand. I'd write about the time someone said I was too fragile to play chess. And just like that, it clicked. People started volunteering. Ms. Jordan donated paint. Maya came up with the tagline, Little Voices, Loud Truths. By Friday, we had paint rollers, a playlist, and 3 ladders. Don't ask how we got them. That weekend, we started painting. Bright colors, bold words, real stories. It wasn't perfect. There were paint spills, one mild glitter explosion, and Maya got bubble gum stuck in her hair. But by the time we were done, the story wall had become a mirror, reflecting every shade, every truth, every voice our school had tried to ignore. Even the principal cried a little. And me? I stood back and smiled. Because sometimes the biggest change starts with a paintbrush and a little girl who refuses to stay invisible. By Monday morning, the story wall wasn't just a school thing. It was an internet thing. It started small. Ms. Jordan posted a few pictures on her art account, tagging it, #StoryWallProject. Then Maya uploaded a video of me painting the words, I was told no, so I made my own yes, and added one of those slow motion effects that made it look way cooler than it was. Next thing I knew, someone's cousin reposted it. Then a local reporter picked it up. Then the mayor. And then it went boom. We were on the morning news. My face. The wall. Maya's glitter-splattered hoodie. All of it. People from other schools started messaging us. Can we build one too? Teachers emailed to say they were using the wall as a class discussion topic. Even a museum DM'd me. A museum. At first, it was amazing. But then came the comments. She's just a kid. What does she know about injustice? Is this really what schools should be focusing on? Bet her billionaire mommy paid for the wall. Some were worse. Way worse. I never had grown-ups talk about me like that. Like I was some kind of threat. Or worse, like I was fake. Maya, try to cheer me up. Haters mean you're doing something right. But that night, I stared at my phone until my eyes stung. The story wall was meant to give kids a voice. So why were so many adults trying to shut it down? I told Mom everything, expecting her to say something wise or powerful. But she just sighed and said, Zora, when you hold up a mirror, not everyone likes what they see. But don't stop holding it. So I didn't. I held it higher. The next day, I added a new message to the wall in big, red letters. They tried to shrink me. I grew anyway. And just like that, the story wall got even louder. The email subject line read, Please report to the principal's office. Not Hi Zora. Not Great job on the mural. Just cold, bold doom. Maya saw the look on my face and mouthed, I tried to play it cool, but my stomach was throwing a full gymnastics routine. Principal Henley sat at his desk like one of those stern judges from cooking shows, minus the food and plus a long sigh. Zora, he began in that principal voice that sounds like it's being fed through a slow-motion filter. We need to talk about the story wall. Here it comes, I thought. I want to start by saying, he paused dramatically, what you've done is impressive, very expressive. However, and there it was, the however some parents have called in. A few feel that the stories on the wall are a bit too much. I blinked. Too much truth. He smiled politely, like I was a toddler trying to debate taxes. We're asking that any new additions be submitted for review before being painted. My jaw dropped. You want to approve people's real-life stories? It's not censorship, he said quickly. It's Tone management. Tone management? This wasn't our class. This was damage control wrapped in a compliment sandwich. I left the office with my heart pounding. Outside, Maya was waiting like a ride-or-die sidekick with snacks. "Well," she asked, already handing me a bag of spicy chips. "They want to manage our tone," I said. Maya rolled her eyes so hard she probably saw her past life. "Sounds like I want to slap a filter on pain." We sat under the wall that afternoon, staring up at all the words, all the voices, all the truth. "They're scared of how powerful this is," I whispered. Maya nodded. "Good. Let's scare them more." And just like that, the idea for our next move was born. By lunch the next day, our table at the far end of the cafeteria had officially turned into the war room. I rolled out a crumpled piece of paper and scribbled the words, Plan B. Maya leaned over with a mouthful of curly fries. "Okay, General Z, what's the mission?" I looked around to make sure no teachers were close enough to hear. "If they won't let us tell the whole truth on school walls, then we take the truth somewhere else," Maya finished, already grinning like she was about to break into a vault. We didn't need permission. We needed Wi-Fi and the right idea. That's when Trey, our friend from Tech Club, pulled out his laptop and said we could build a site, like a digital wall. Kids could upload their stories anonymously. We could link it to QR codes and post them everywhere. My eyes lit up. QR codes on lockers, water fountains, hall passes, even the teacher's lounge coffee machine. Maya snapped. "Ooh, or the back of bathroom doors. They can't tone manage a toilet stall. So we gotta work." Trey coded like a mad genius. Maya designed the logo, a raised fist with a speech bubble for a heart. I reached out to kids in other schools, kids who had stories burning in their chests, just waiting for a place to be heard. We called it the Echo, because even when someone tries to silence you, the truth echoes. By Friday, the QR codes were up. By Monday, the site had over 30,000 views. And by Tuesday, the principal called another emergency meeting. But this time, he wasn't the one in control, because when they closed one wall, we built another. And ours didn't just speak, it roared. It started with a tweet. A journalist from a major news outlet posted a screenshot of the Echo with the caption, "Middle schoolers are doing what adults won't. Meet the voices behind the Echo." And then the fire hose opened. The local news called. Then Good Morning America. My inbox was bursting. Mom's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Maya screamed when a verified actress followed our account and commented, "This is what bravery looks like." But with the spotlight came shadows. Some adults praised us, calling us brilliant, brave, changemakers. Others not so much. Comments rolled in calling the Echo too political, disrespectful, or even dangerous. Some people even claimed we were lying, that the stories weren't real. One woman wrote, "No way a 12-year-old wrote this. This is clearly a stunt by woke parents. It would have been funny if it didn't hurt so much." Then came the school board meeting. Mom didn't want me to go. She said it would be intense. But I went anyway, in my Sunday dress, with Maya on one side and Trey on the other. One board member looked like he ate lemons for breakfast. He waved a printout of our website and said, "This platform is dividing students." I stood up and said, "No, sir. These stories don't divide us. They reveal what already exists. We're just tired of whispering." Silence. Then one of the parents clapped. Then 2. Then 10. Principal Henley rubbed his temples like he had a headache. I almost felt bad. Almost. Back home, Mom tucked me in and whispered, "I'm proud of your voice, baby girl. You remind me of your grandma." That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I knew we had more to say. And they were finally listening. The morning after the school board meeting, Mom handed me an envelope with my name on it, written in loopy, flowery handwriting. "This came in the mail yesterday. Thought you should see it," she said softly. I opened it slowly. The paper was old, but carefully folded. It was from my Grandma Rose. Except, Grandma Rose had passed away the year I turned 5. "Dear Zora," it began, "if you're reading this, it means your mama kept her promise. She told me you'd be a fighter one day, even before you could say the word." I read on, each word hitting deeper than the last. Grandma told stories of marching and protests, working as a community organizer, even being arrested during a sit-in her 20s. She wrote about how she'd once dreamed of building a platform for young black voices, but the world wasn't ready back then. I'm hoping by the time you read this, they'll finally be ready for you. I didn't even realize I was crying until a teardrop smudged the ink. The letter ended with, "Speak loud. Stand tall. And when the world tries to shrink you, stretch higher. You come from giants, Zora." I clutched the letter to my chest. Suddenly, everything made sense. Why Mom was always quietly fierce. Why I couldn't sit back when something felt wrong. This wasn't just my fight. It was a legacy, and I had no plans on backing down. It was almost the anniversary of the day, when that car salesman embarrassed us in front of everyone. I hadn't been back since. Didn't really want to, but Mom had other plans. "We've got an event to attend," she said casually, slipping on sunglasses. Something about the dealership needing a photo shoot with their most important shareholder. I groaned. "Can I just FaceTime in?" "Nope. You're the guest of honor." I step into that glassy showroom wearing my Echo hoodie and combat boots. Bold, loud, unapologetically Zora. And there he was, the same salesman. His name tag now read assistant manager. Cute. He froze when he saw us. "Oh, welcome back, ma'am," he stammered. Mom raised her eyebrows. "Interesting tone, isn't it, Zora?" I smirked. Very different from last year. Must be the hoodie. To be fair, the dealership had cleaned up. New policies, better staff training, and a big poster near the service desk that read, "Every customer, every voice, every story matters." Apparently, the Echo had inspired more than just students. "Can I offer you something to drink?" the man asked. "Water's fine," Mom said. "Got any honesty tea?" I added. Mom nearly choked on her laugh. That visit didn't erase the pain of that day, but it felt like closing a chapter. Not out of anger, but from power. They remembered who we were now. And more importantly, so did I. The final day of school was buzzing with energy, but not because of summer. We were unveiling the final Echo. A massive digital projection on the gym wall, powered by student-submitted stories from over 30 states. It was beautiful, messy, emotional, raw, just like real life. Before the slideshow began, Principal Henley gave us a nod. "Zora, would you like to say a few words?" I walked to the mic, heart pounding. The gym was full. Not just students, parents, teachers, community leaders, even local news. I cleared my throat. This isn't just about what happened to me, or Maya, or any one person. It's about all of us. The ones who were told to quiet down, fit in, or wait our turn. This, I pointed to the glowing screen behind me, is us refusing to wait. People clapped. Maya hooped, traded a victory dab. I smiled and added, "If you've ever felt invisible, like your story didn't matter, welcome to the Echo. You're loud now, and you're not alone." The applause echoed through the gym. Afterward, we passed out stickers, hugged strangers, and even signed a few autographs. Me, signing autographs. Who knew? Back at home that night, I tucked Grandma's letter into my journal and pulled out a fresh page. I didn't know exactly what came next, but I knew this. I was no longer the little girl standing small in that dealership. I was Zora, loud, free, unstoppable. And this was only the beginning. It was a Thursday morning when I got the email. The subject line read, "Reaching out, a special opportunity." I almost deleted it, thinking it was just another spam message. But something told me to open it. I clicked, and my jaw dropped when I saw the sender's name, Silverline Motors. The same dealership. The one that had kicked me out, that had looked down on me like I didn't belong. The one that had underestimated me. The email read, "Dear Zora, we at Silverline Motors have been following your incredible journey with the Echo and the powerful stories you've shared. Your voice has resonated far beyond your school, inspiring people from all walks of life. We would like to offer you an opportunity to join us as a brand ambassador for our dealership. We believe your story of resilience, strength, and advocacy for equality aligns perfectly with our values as we look to redefine what it means to serve our customers and community. We want to work together to show that Silverline Motors is about more than just luxury cars. It's about embracing diverse voices and changing the conversation in the industry. We would love to discuss this opportunity further. Sincerely, Jessica Larson, Marketing Director, Silverline Motors." I sat there, staring at the screen, blinking a few times as if the words would change. But they didn't. It was real. I showed Mom the email. Her face was a mix of pride and disbelief. Do you think they're being sincere? I tilted my head. Hard to say. I'm definitely not going to let them off easy. It was weird to feel so conflicted. Part of me wanted to say, absolutely not. Forget them. After all, they had hurt me once, and that wasn't something easy to forgive. But then I thought about how far I'd come, about how my story had sparked conversations, changed perspectives, and even brought new policies to that very dealership. Maybe this was more than a business opportunity. Maybe it was a chance for me to make an even bigger difference from the inside. Mom looked at me, her expression soft but knowing. Whatever you decide, just make sure you keep your voice. I nodded. I'm not going to be their puppet, Mom, but I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to push for change, either. That night, I drafted a response. I made it clear I wasn't just going to take their offer at face value. If I was going to represent Silverline Motors, they needed to prove they were serious about the change they were promising. Dear Jessica Larson, thank you for reaching out with such an exciting opportunity. I'm honored that you see value in my story and the work we've done with the Echo. However, I want to make one thing very clear. I am not interested in being just a figurehead. If Silverline Motors truly wants to turn a new page, I expect real, tangible change. This means ongoing diversity and inclusion training for staff, support for youth initiatives, and a commitment to community engagement that goes beyond a marketing campaign. If these actions align with what you envision, then I would be happy to discuss further. Best regards, Zora Evans, founder of the Echo. The response wasn't immediate, but when it came, it was everything I could have hoped for. They agreed. Silverline Motors, now under new management, was ready to take on their diversity initiatives with full force. They had already started implementing training programs for employees and wanted to support a local youth leadership conference, where I would speak as a guest. The partnership wasn't just about cars. It was about creating a platform for underrepresented voices. It was about doing the hard work to build a brand that truly cared. And it felt like a victory I hadn't expected to come from a place I once felt so hurt by. I wasn't just a brand ambassador. I was now a change maker from the inside, with the power to influence real, lasting transformation. Maybe the dealership hadn't believed in me before, but now they didn't have a choice, because I was Zora Evans, and I had a seat at the table.